watch this. So it's going to have to be like this. Hi, how are you? Come on in. Um, so let's see if I do that, then I will lose that, but I will come in and bring this in, and I will do presenter view, which gives me that, which is nice. Yeah, so about 5 seconds, okay. So I can play with that. So I'm going to be working with the main. No, I'm going to be main, which is actually extended. It's yeah.
Those screens like full screen so you can display whatever is showing on these ones
Yes.
over there.
Okay.
Or we can I figured out how to pose this and then do the notes thing.
Ooh, great. Okay.
That one's
Yeah.
working.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
Or we can look at
Yeah.
that directly for notes.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that.
Okay. Well, I don't see anyone yet in the. Grab a seat. You're welcome to join us. Let's see who's coming in at all. I have to come back to that, so I don't want to get too messed up with this. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'll bring this over here. Okay. So we can have a class, no problem. Uh, but I know how to do that. We have that, which is an issue. So then there we are on YouTube, right? That's what it looks like live on YouTube, which is really important. And we'll get that. Um, so I've got that going there. In theory, we can start, and um, I'm going to make sure that that's the one I want right now. And since I'm not seeing anybody there, then there's no reason to keep that up. Only that we can record. We're going to be doing this largely for the recording. And so if we do that, then let's just give it another couple of minutes. I'm going to adjust to that. And what we can do is we will put that over on the sides. Okay, I know how we'll do that. We'll have that on, and actually, we'll do that. Okay, so that's fine. Would it be a briefer recording? Oh, that's helpful. Yeah, yeah, I can see because I can see. Usually that, yeah, yeah, and because we're not able to get the actual image from there, but that's good enough. Okay. Oh, here comes somebody. So let's see. Uh, and I will bring things back here. Excellent. So we're going to start very shortly, and grab a seat if you like, or you can come and we will. I'll just this, and we have a little bit. What's your name again? Zane? Zane. Okay, Zane. Good. You're not even a student officially in this class, right? Okay. Well, anyways, you're welcome to join and leave anytime, but we're just getting set up, and I just want to make sure that we're all fully connected right now, and I think we are. So I am going to begin our first spring summer short history of the world class, in which on Friday mornings we're going to be taking quite the journey. And first, before I do that, first classes tend to be a little bit turbulent. I want to make sure everything is properly connected. The tech today is not all together in place. First, I want to make sure that we are connected to the students who are joining remotely. And I see one with us, and I just want to make sure you can hear me at the podium. Hi, Mysterious Planet, who I see as a circle right now, a thumbnail. Hello? Are you able to hear me from the podium in the global classroom? Please just say yes or no in the
Yeah.
live chat, or you can say on your microphone too. Go ahead. I think I saw a microphone go off for a moment. Hi. So there's no name associated with this planet. It's just a thumbnail and a microphone that is muted. Are you there? Is there life on that planet?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Terrific. What's your name? Okay, well, we have a connection. Somebody is alive on that planet, and that's a good thing. So that means that we're lifting off right now. And so I'm actually going to talk a little bit and really talk about the class for people watching the recording later. Because as you can see in the class, the live class today, there are two individuals here live in person, one of whom is not even officially a student. In fact, both aren't. But they're here because of a great event we had in the Global Classroom last night that I can tell you about. But essentially, I want everyone to understand what this semester is going to be. So all of you, all 22 of you who are officially registered in this course, right now, I only see one of you online with us and none of you in person. So I'm going to assume that you're all going to be watching the recordings, and that's fine. You have lots of options in this class. So essentially, I'm speaking right now to the students who will be watching this class a little bit later, the recordings, the high def recording that we do in YouTube. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what this whole class is, and let me come back to first something really important, and then we will come back to the video conference that we have going. Essentially, I want all of you to know on this first class of this special condensed semester in short history of the world for 7 weeks. We're going to be having this class that you've entered a very special learning space. And today, because we're just starting the new semester and some changes have been made in this room, I may have to stop and talk to Mayreen, our coordinator here, to make sure everything's in place. We've also summoned tech support to help us a little bit. But essentially, everything is working more or less as it should. And so I can actually tell you about what a special thing this is that you have decided to sign up for. Okay? So let me first introduce a really important person who will join us when she can for classes, and that's Mayreen Khan. She's right here, you can see in beside me, and she is officially our Global Classroom Coordinator at Durham College. She works with the Center for Teaching and Learning, and we work closely together in developing the curriculum here and a bigger vision for this whole space that I'll tell you about. And then over here is Zane. He's joining us in an unofficial capacity as just an interested student, because last night we had an event here. Mayreen and another student run what's called the Global Class Hub, and she will tell you about that shortly. And she chose a terrific movie called 12 Fail that we all watched. And Zane joined us for that. And then he said he might be interested in coming to see Short History of the World and joining some of that. And I said, sure. In fact, this whole space, the global classroom is something very open and different for all of you. And you may already have a sense of that from the announcement that was posted on DC Connect, where you learned that you can join this class in 3 different ways. You can come in person if you want. You can join synchronously live through our video conferencing system. And we have one student doing that right now. And I will come to that shortly. You will see that. And you can also watch the recordings. And everything is live streamed on YouTube. So that's where we do our high definition recordings. That's where we essentially broadcast our classes to all of humanity. So I want to just say something to all of you right at the beginning so that you understand what you've entered into. We at Durham College, in this space called the Rotary Global Classroom, are building what we believe is the best new classroom on the face of this planet. And we've been doing this for several years. And this space that you've entered into allows for a multimedia, high-tech educational experience unlike anything that is offered anywhere in the world. This is a world first that we're building. And if you think that is hype, perhaps you need to know something else too. Maureen and I and others here are getting ready to present this classroom to the Expo, World Expo in Japan next year. And that is the biggest international showcase of new engineering and design for humanity. And it's once every 5-year event, goes back to the late 19th century when Nikola Tesla was introducing electricity to humanity, when there were many other new developments in the future of technology and engineering. And we're going to be going to this conference next year, where we will be presenting something that we think is historic as well. And I've been speaking at conferences around the world. We have a lot of growing attention in what's going on here. So this space, this global classroom, is something different and exciting, I hope, for all of you. And I'm not going to talk yet about Short History of the World, which is the course you've signed up for, because it's important you need to know about this classroom first, okay? So let's just take this step by step and see who actually joins us for a moment. But for now, I'm going to bring in the remote students. And first, what you're going to see behind me is a very important view. Right now, behind me, you will see the International Space Station. A live view. Just a second. There we go. And there's our video conference. So, right now, we're actually in Oshawa, but we're not, because the space station is orbiting over the Punjab, Pakistan. And how do we know that? Because right behind me, in the central square, the panel, is a live high-definition view from a camera that is looking down from the International Space Station that is about 430 kilometers straight up into the sky. That's how far it is from us on the planet. And it's orbiting the Earth. And it takes about 90 to 95 minutes for the space station to go around the planet. So right now, what you're seeing, oh, here we go. It's over Jammu and Kashmir in India. Beautiful place. I lived in India many, many, many years ago in the southern part of India, but I always wanted to go to the northern part to see because it's very beautiful, and as well as Bangladesh and other parts of that world. But we are a planet-wide view here. what you're getting when you come into this space is a story unlike you've ever seen or experienced, and that is the story of humanity on planet Earth. And we can tell that story today because technology and science have brought us to this point in history, in world history, where we humans routinely have a perspective of the whole planet. Well, you're looking at it right now behind me, the astronaut's view. And that means that we humans are now asking ourselves more and more, what exactly is the human story on planet Earth? What exactly are the humans doing here on planet Earth? What is planet Earth? And how does it sort of compare and contrast to the other objects in our solar system or beyond? In other words, we now have a larger view of history that we're taking. And people are asking, what is the human story on planet Earth? How did we get here? How did we build civilization? What is civilization? How is it possible that creatures on this planet could, in a relatively short period of time, begin to leave the planet and go into space? No other creature on the face of this planet ever, in the 4.5 billion years of this planet, has ever done what we humans are doing. So there is a very big story that you've never really explored. And you're going to be doing this over the next 7 weeks. And that is the human story and the history of the human race on planet Earth, going all the way back to how did it begin. And our history does not begin in just the 20th century or with a world war or going back a little bit further with, let's say, the Middle Ages or ancient history or the beginnings of civilization. It goes back to the beginning of this planet. Then we have to understand, well, how did humans emerge? And what have they been doing here that's so distinct? And who has had the power on this planet? Who have built the societies and the civilizations and the great empires that have come and gone? If any of you know the story of Lord of the Rings, the wonderful story of Lord of the Rings, and whoever wears the ring, whoever has the power, also has a great responsibility. And this is what our story also is about, is what are we humans doing here in civilization that is good and bad? Where have the biggest wars and conflicts been? Why do humans fight so much? And yet, in the midst of all of this, how is it possible that something called freedom and religion and science and technology have emerged as the greatest forces on this planet? This is a story that is very new for all of us, and we're going to explore it together over the next 7 weeks. So I just want to make sure everybody understands a little bit about what's going on in this room today. And normally when there are more students in person, we will interact a lot. And so we're going to take this slowly today. I'm just adjusting to the fact that essentially of the 22 of you who signed up, only one person has joined remotely. And that makes me think that probably all of you want just the recordings, which is fine. But I want to make it clear that the in-person interaction that we have when this starts to fill up is really dynamic and the conversation is really good. So, okay, let me just stop for a second and make sure that I have addressed anybody's questions. And since there's only one student who's with us online right now, I'm going to ask that student if he or she would like to say something. So, hi, student planet, nameless planet, can you come back for a second and just say hello on your microphone? Okay. Can you go into the live chat? Well, this can be what happens. So what I'm going to do is just let all of you know that there is all sorts of options for you right now. But essentially, you've entered a space where the professor likes to skate and play hockey and can skate with any team that he is faced with. So now I'm going to skate in a little bit of a different direction with everybody, because since the one planet that has joined us appears to have no life on it right now, I'm going to essentially teach to the recording students, but there are people here, two human beings here, and I'm going to interact with them. And we're going to talk a little bit together. And then we're going to keep this class on the briefer side today. And I can post some things for you a little bit later. Okay? So, first, Mayreen, do you want to come up and grab a microphone? And Zane, if you feel like contributing, you're welcome to it, or you can just watch, okay? So no pressure there, okay? But so let me just once again introduce Mayreen, and very briefly, she is our coordinator here who manages the tech in the classroom, helps other faculty do classes here, assists me, and also is a former student of mine who I can tell you, knowing her work and having worked with her for some time now, is someone who's really dedicated to the idea of lifelong learning and really cares about education. So I would like Mayreen to sort of just update us a little bit, perhaps tell us a bit about the plan for World Expo, where we are, and more importantly, I guess, the Global Class Hub, and anything else you think students should know. And then I'm going to continue with the class, okay? So go ahead. And I'll shut this door so the audio is really good. So you're essentially, you're talking to, the camera there. Okay, go ahead.
Is the volume okay?
Yeah.
Too loud?
Let me check. I think we're okay. Just make sure you hold it. Yeah, talk over it as opposed to into it. Okay, but I can. I'll check the on audio controls. Yeah, we're at 27 dBs. I can bring this down, the speaker here, so it's not so loud here. Okay, but everything else is good. So go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Mahreen, and I'm here today in the global classroom at Durham College. Laud's already given a little bit of an introduction, so I'm not going to take too much time with that. But we're so excited that the students watching this and whoever's online is able to join this classroom. I highly recommend one of Lon's classes for Jeanette's, because I took short history of the world while I was a student here. Um, so a little bit what we were doing is last semester we had I approached students because I would really like to see people here in the classroom. So this couch or this space filled with people joining in person as opposed to online. It is convenient and it is obviously acceptable for people to join online because other things happen in life, but this space was made for human to human interaction, and it's a safe space to discuss different topics. We talk about anything and everything, and it's a space where everyone, even though they don't have similar opinions, we respect each other for having those opinions, and also try to look at each other's perspectives. So I came up with the idea of having a student-led club with the DCSA, and we started that with Sarah, who is the president of the club. She was in Lon's Short History of the World last semester, and we started the Global Class Hub, and we had our official first event last night, which was, as Lon said, the screening of an Indian movie. with English subtitles. And I think because when I watched it, it was such a beautiful movie. I really wanted Lon and other students to be able to experience the story.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's the first week, so we didn't have as much of an attendance, which is understandable. But we are hoping to promote in the pit. If any students are there and are willing to know more and talk to either Sarah or I in person, then that's the chance for you to do it. If not, then I will give Lon details of if you wanted to join. We have a Discord server that we're using to get members in and
Yeah.
everything. So you can get more information on that through Lon on DC Connect. And yeah, we're just hoping for submitting documentation or an application for the expo in Japan next year. So we're just in progress and hoping to submit it soon.
So I want you all to please keep in mind that as we carry on with the course this semester and begin the story, that we will always be open to your ideas on how to make the educational experience more interesting and exciting. We are taking very seriously this idea that in the post-pandemic world, there's an opportunity now to redefine what a classroom is. There's a lot of interest around the world in progressive education that tries to reconstruct the idea of what a classroom is going to be, engaging with technology in a more sophisticated way. This is not a class about PowerPoints, where that's what you're just given, and then you essentially study from that. We're trying to say to the world, there's a way to make the classroom a lot better for humanity and to make all of us in the future better educated. And we take that seriously here, Maureen and I and Sarah and others. So your ideas are very important too, if you have those. Okay, I am actually feeling pretty good because Raj, I finally have a name from the human out there who's with us. Raj has identified himself in the live chat, and Raj has asked a question. So I'm going to make sure I'm getting a proper connection right now. Raj, could you unmute your microphone for a moment and let's try this, okay, and see if this is going to work, okay? Raj, can you unmute your microphone and say hello?
Hello.
Excellent. Okay. Stay unmuted for the moment, okay? Because now, next thing, and you don't have to do this, okay? I'm just asking. Is it possible you can share your video with us? Oh, okay. He'll come. It might be a connection. Sometimes people lose their connections, okay? But Raj has asked a good question. He said, well, could I provide an outline of the course? That's exactly what I was planning to do in a moment. I'm going to do it for all of you live here, and we can also discuss that. So I'll wait until Raj is back in the class. He may have been disconnected, and then I will tell you all about what short history of the world is going to be this semester. I think given the way things are working today in terms of tech, not everything not quite working here exactly the way we want. Normally, the camera can zoom in and we have a much better view of things and we can move the camera around. And because of the online attendance and everything, I'm going to essentially keep this pretty short, this class, but I'm going to go over the critical outline of the different lectures, as well as, most importantly, what you are expected to do in this class to get 100% as a final grade. It's possible. There are students who get 100% in this class and 95% and 96%, but you need to do the work. And I need to tell you about that work. Okay, so once I do that, I think probably we'll end the class today and I will post the rest for you online. So not to worry, everything will come in its due course. Okay, so I am not seeing Raj yet, so let's move on a little bit. And I'm just going to essentially give you a very kind of broad outline, very broad, not so detailed yet. I'll wait for Raj, but a broad outline of the story that you're going to be exploring with me and with Mayreen and all the others who join in person this semester. And then I will tell you about your assignments. And then we're going to conclude, okay? And so first, let me just explain a little bit about the big story, short history of the world. I've already started to address that at the beginning of the class. But essentially, here's how it's going to work. Every class, and there are only 7 of them this semester. This is a very condensed course, so we're going to move a little more quickly. I'm going to take you from the Big Bang to the 21st century in 7 weeks. That's 13.7 billion years. Now, you may wonder, how is it possible that we can cover so much ground in such a short period of time? And that's a good question. It's called a short history of the world for that reason. But this semester, in 7 weeks and not 14 weeks, it's going to be a very short history of the world. But that's okay too, because it's such a big story, the human story, that nobody can tell all of it. But there are important turning points. We call these breakthroughs. Some call them thresholds. These are the moments in this period of time from 13.7 up until now, the 21st century, where critical things have happened in which something came out of nothing. That's called the Big Bang. And then over a period of time, a planet took shape, planet Earth, and that started to happen around 4.5 billion years ago. And then when life began to emerge on this planet, we humans began to grow out of all of the previous life that had been on this planet. This is what science tells us. And essentially, I'm going to be telling you this semester, very briefly, the story of the breakthroughs towards the realization of greater and greater power for ourselves on this planet, according to science. But in no way does that disrespect the other great force, the great intellectual force in our story, and that is religion. There are 2 principal forces on this planet that have made the world what it is. We are the only place in our solar system, the only place in the universe, as far as we know, where there is a thing called life that has emerged. Everywhere else in the solar system and beyond, it's silent. There are no trees. There is no soil. There are no animals. There are no humans or human-like creatures, as far as we know. It just happened here. And it is a tremendous story because we humans invented 2 powerful forces, many others. The force of science, which is we humans want to know, what is this here, this world that we're in? What is the natural law? What do the gods or God want for us here? And then there are the religions, all the great religions, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and all the indigenous and tribal myths of indigenous cultures who all want to know, what are we supposed to be doing here? That's not science. That's something else. These two forces, science and religion, are going to be playing out in our story in very dramatic ways. But in order for you to be an educated, modern, human being, ready for the challenges of the future, and I mean no disrespect here, please, no disrespect. If you do not understand science and you do not understand technology, you will be lost. If what you believe all comes from your religion, you will be stuck in an old world. The new world that has been created on this planet goes forward with these two forces, science and religion. But the fact is, your life, the clothes you wear, the machines you use, the cars you drive, the connections you have with people around the world have everything to do with science and technology, not religion. But religion is still fundamentally important. And so I will be telling you the science-based story. But I will always be turning to religion as well to understand why do we keep wanting to know what our gods are saying or what God is saying. Science tells us there is no God. There are no gods. There's just life in this accidental process. But we humans persist, in spite of all of this, in wanting to believe that there are gods or there is a single God. And that's very, very important. That tells you something about what it means to be a human being. So both of these forces are going to play out as we explore this story of civilization and how we rose on this planet. Science and religion are the two great forces in our story. And I'm going to take you from 13.7 billion years up into 7 million years ago when there was the great divergence and we humans began to branch away from our primate ancestors. Yes, the monkeys. Yes, the chimpanzees. Yes, the gorillas and orangutan. Yes, according to science, we do come from those lower forms of life, and we have evidence. It's not just a theory. But then we humans, 10,000 years ago, after the last ice age, and the ice began to retreat and move northwards and southward, creating the North Pole and the South Pole, we humans, as the world began to warm and there was more water, we began to build cities and empires around rivers, and we began to create new tools and technologies, and there were warriors, and there were religious prophets, and there were great people who emerged. They began to unite these empires, began to fight and create all the things we have today. And all of this, I'm going to tell you, essentially, just the tip of the iceberg. The last 10,000 years is really our biggest part of the story, and that is human civilization started just 10,000 years ago. That's it. Your sense of time in this course is going to be broadened. Your sense of history generally, probably, concerns the history of Canada, history of a world war, history of India, history of Islam, history of Judaism. Maybe it goes back a little bit further, Greco-Roman history. But time now is going to open out, and you're going to begin to understand that actually, we humans, we just got here. And this thing called human civilization that began just 10,000 years ago is almost just yesterday, if you look at what's been happening on this planet. And that might give you hope. As you begin to see the problems, the inequalities, the corruption, the darkness, the conflicts, the wars, the genocides, the awful things that humans do, in the name of many noble causes, you might get depressed. But then you can stand back and you can go, well, wait a minute. We humans just got here. We're learning. We're learning how to do this thing called civilization. And we have a long way to go to figure out how we're going to live more in peace, respect others, not enslave others, not believe that one group is superior to another, but where we can respect each other for who we are. This is a remarkable story of how we've been able to get to this point where we can do that, because it has not come naturally to us in our history. We generally believed that whatever tribe we grew up in was the superior one. We know differently now. So there's an opening up of your mind to a bigger story that's going to happen this semester. Okay, that's a very broad outline of this course, but I want to also address your assignments, and then let's see, Raj has his planet has well, we've flown into another solar system, and there are different planets, and we haven't yet figured out what the planets are in this new solar system. Okay, so Mayreen, is there anything you want to say to the students before I give them the critical stuff, which is how they're going to be assessed, and then we'll conclude.
Well, I would just say fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a really nice adventure.
That's right. Fasten your seatbelts. This is an adventure. Thank you. And actually, it has been said that that without adventure, world historians have said this, philosophers, without a sense of adventure, there would never be a thing called civilization. It's only because there were humans who were adventurous and were exploring and going further that were able to then bring us new ideas. So this idea of exploration is critical in this course. The heroes that you're going to meet are not the generals, the military men, the winners of the wars. It's the adventurers, the explorers, the one who take us further, because they're the ones who matter most to us. They bring us new ideas and new things that open our minds. And you're going to meet quite a few of them. And they often come from science, but they also come from religion, our great religious prophets too. Before I do this, one more thing, I will check in with our unofficial student to see, because he might be finding his seatbelt has to be a little bit fastened. Zane, is there anything you'd like to say, or you don't have to, but is this making sense to you as I explain a little bit about what short history of the world is? You get it? Yeah, okay. Is it okay if I ask you a question or two? Because, okay, can you come up here for a second? Come up. The reason, and bring your microphone. The reason I do this is, Zane, students have said repeatedly in their reflections, the ones who are just watching the recordings or even in their emails, they would say, oh, I really like listening to other students explain what they think. And normally, when we have a class going here, we have the couches more or less filled, and there's a lot of interaction. So today, just for the sake of it, and to help the students understand, I'd like to interact with you a little bit, okay? And so feel free if there's anything you need to do and you have to go. You're not officially registered here, okay? In what I said just now, why were you interested? And I'll turn on the mic. And here's this is the mic here so they can hear you. And just talk sort of like this and then over it, not into it, okay? Why are you sort of interested in this perspective?
Because I've always thought of how all of this started, how we gained consciousness, and how we came about to do all of this.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a class, but we're sitting on a planet that's rotating a sun that's essentially on the farthest end of our galaxy, which is just one of billions of galaxies, and all
Oh.
of that started from a single point, and I think that's really fascinating. So
And Zane, when did you start to wonder about this? We call this the totality of our existence. What is this totality? You know, what were you much younger?
I've always been curious. So I started learning through books in my local library. So there was this book, Exploring the Universe. I don't remember
Yep.
the exact name, but it had all these descriptions of our planets and the planets that we've discovered other than the 8 planets
Yes.
that we have. Um, and then the further you went into the book, the more it expanded across the universe. So galaxies, superclusters,
Yeah.
and everything.
And
Dark
everything.
matter, dark energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was blown away by that stuff, and I
Yeah.
wanted to learn as much as I can uh, to understand what exactly are we.
Yeah. What exactly are we?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great. That's what we're doing in this course, and the reason I've asked Zane this is because I was expecting that he would probably say something like this, because the fact is, most of us have these questions too, and the education system is now helping us to provide these answers more. That's what this course is, because we have better anthropology and archaeology and paleontology and the earth sciences that are bringing us more and more information that tells us what's been happening and can answer these questions. So, Zane, we're living at a time in history that I believe is a kind of golden age of education, so we can start to answer these questions better. So I'm really thankful that you are prepared to have the courage to come and sit and answer these questions and help the other students begin to see what they're going to be learning this semester. And is there anything else you would like to say before I just conclude in a moment with some information about the assignments and everything else the students will be expected to do this semester? Is there anything in particular, for example, I'll actually help you. Just, is there a question, a really big question that you would love to answer when you start to think about this idea of what are we doing here? Like something you really want to answer?
Um, I don't want to say this in a negative way. Yeah, but like,
It's okay.
but I don't think there's a purpose.
Oh, you don't think there's a purpose?
um,
Yeah.
I am a religious person. I'm not saying
Yes.
that way, but purely from a scientific point of view, I don't think there's a purpose for any of this. I told you, I'm not trying to be.
No, you're not,
pessimistic
but I'm going to help you and say
Yeah.
that, you know what the question is that Zane, I think, wants to answer, if it can be phrased as a question, is what are we supposed to be doing here? What is our purpose? And that is a great question, Zane. It's highly philosophical. But when we start to look back at the human story on planet Earth, we are inevitably taken in this direction, because we start to see that in comparison to all the other animals and creatures that have walked the face of this planet, we humans are the only ones who've done so much here. We have this consciousness. So what exactly are we supposed to be doing with this? And were we given this by some other force, or is it just in us all? But I can tell you, and I can tell you all, that in just the next 7 weeks, when you start to listen to what we do in this class, you watch the recorded lectures, you do your assignments, by June the 19th, I think, or June the 21st, which is our final class, you are going to have a better sense of your purpose. A student once said to me, Zane, about short history of the world, he said, at the end, I have come to realize the importance of what it means to be human. If you're able to come over the weeks, you're always welcome. You can watch the recordings, but that question will be answered for you. And you may be surprised that your purpose is more significant for you than you realize, that you do have a purpose. But I'm not going to say what it is. I don't want to say anything more, but there's a story here you need to know, and you might start to understand what your purpose here is as a human being on this planet and what your future is supposed to be.
I'm very excited for that.
Okay? I promise you that you will have that sense, not a kind of epiphany moment where you figured everything out, but you're going to start to open yourself to this idea of what is the human purpose on planet Earth. This is the story we are telling in world history now. It's a very important story. Okay? So thank you for, and please, always, you're welcome. Okay, so I see that we have a student who's joined us. Is it Planet King Ho? Hi, can you just unmute your microphone and make sure we can hear you? Go ahead, King. Welcome. Okay, you're in the live chat. Good. Is it King? Am I pronouncing it, or should I be saying Prince? or should I say, Emperor? Okay, King, do you have any questions? I'll call you. Well, we can call you Jimmy, huh? Okay, Jimmy, what name do you really like to be called, where you feel fully respected as a human being, where your dignity is really protected? Is Jimmy the name you like, or do you like King? Do you prefer that? Which one, Jimmy or King? Jimmy is good? Okay. Jimmy, could you write in the live chat for now what exactly you have, why you have chosen Short History of the World as your spring-summer general elective at Durham College? That's okay. You can catch up with the recording. You missed the first hour. Jimmy, why are you taking a history course in spring and summer? You could be taking many other courses here. Why would you choose this? Could you just explain in the live chat for us so we understand a little bit? Well, we'll let him explain. And go ahead and explain as much as you want, Jimmy, and then I'll come back to the live chat in a moment. But I'm going to finish up with the assignments and everything else, and then we're going to conclude. Okay? Normally, what we will do, if everything's working properly here, is somebody will be tasked with going over to the smart board. We have different boards around the room here, and we'll take notes. And those notes will be seen on the video wall. But we don't have that connection in place today. Maureen sometimes will take the notes to kind of demonstrate how they should be done, but then a student or two will be doing that for everybody. Great, Jimmy. Okay, we'll come to that in a moment, okay? We'll finish with Jimmy's comment shortly. So normally, for example, when I talk about the assignments, then we would be writing this down and it would be up clearly on the video wall. So we don't have that right now. So listen closely. This is critical information. Okay? Here is how you're going to be assessed this semester. Jimmy, can you hear everything clearly right now? Just say yes, that you can hear me. Great. Okay, I'll come to your comment in a moment. All right? You listening? Okay? You're watching the recording right now, or maybe you're driving and you're listening to it as a podcast. No problem. Maybe you're at the gym and you're working out and you're listening to it. Or maybe you're just gone for a walk, or maybe you're, I don't know, vaping or something, and you're listening. Well, I'm asking you to listen closely now. Do not forget this. And I'm only going to say it once. And please do not email me and ask me to repeat this again and again. Here it comes. You are going to be doing 3 reflections this semester. 3. There are no tests, there are no exams, but you will be writing a lot. You will be processing and thinking a lot about the ideas that we explore together in this class. There are 3 reflections you will be doing. One of them will be worth, because I had to do a little bit of math this morning to kind of condense everything. The first reflection will be worth 30%. And you will be writing 725 to 750 words. And it will be due in about 2 weeks. I will post this on DC Connect, but not everything. The critical information is right now. 3 reflections. The first one is worth 30%. It will be due in week 3. We're in week 1 right now. The second reflection will also be 30% and will be worth, will be the same word count, 725 to 750. So 30% for the first reflection, 30% for the second reflection. That's week 5. Both of them are written, 725 to 750 words. And here comes the big one. For 40%, at the end of the semester, week 7, you will have an essay to write, a researched essay of about 1,500 words, a major essay, and that will be worth 40%. But you can also do that final assignment as a video or in another medium even, too. So let me just repeat for a second so everybody's clear, okay? And you will also have this on DC Connect, but in a very, very abbreviated form. So normally when I explain this, students will have questions. And Jimmy, if you have any questions about this, just put it in the live chat. I will come to it momentarily. 3 reflections over these 7 weeks. Week 3, the first reflection will be due. Week 5, the second reflection will be due. Week 7, the third reflection will be due, which is essentially an essay. 30% for reflection 1, 30% for reflection 2, 40% for reflection 3. No exams, no essays. You are processing and thinking about everything. What I care about in terms of the assignments is not that you memorize dates and information. What I care about is that you can think about what we've discussed in this class, what I've said in my lectures, and then you explain in well-written English sentences what it means. And if I see in the first reflection that you have a writing problem, which many students do, probably 60 to 65, 70% of my students here need help with their writing. They're not speaking English or writing English as well as they should. And I'm not just talking about international students. I will send them to a tutor to get help for free to rewrite your first assignment so it's done properly. Now, I'm going to say one final thing where you need to listen very, very closely. Actually, it's a bit of a coincidence. Last night we watched a movie, a wonderful movie called 12th Fail from India. And one of its many important themes was education and corruption, and something called cheating. I'm not going to go into detail about what this movie tries to tell us. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful movie. However, I want to make it very clear. Do not cheat. Do not use artificial intelligence to do your work. You can use AI to do research. But if I smell, if I hear a machine in what you've written, I'm going to make sure you rewrite it and you learn your lesson. You will not be punished severely, but you're going to have to work your butt off to make sure that what you write in your next assignment is not a machine. Do not rely on a machine to do the speaking for you. You're only cheating yourself. You are making yourself more stupid and obedient and in service and enslaved to a machine. And do not give me the excuse that you are busy, that you had no time to write it yourself. I will not accept that anymore. You are being warned right now. AI is a great tool for research, but it is not a tool to write your sentences. Not in this class. My job is to make you educated and smart and to think for yourself. But unfortunately, more and more students believe that AI and machines can do the work for them. And yes, they can. But you have to understand when to put the machine away and say, now the human comes in and does the real work of figuring out what words should I choose? How should I arrange those words? Where do I put the period? Do I have a complete sentence? Have I made sense? You have to sweat the sentences. That's real writing. That's real thinking. Okay? I hope I got through. I hope you've watched this recording up until this point and understood this. Jimmy, did what I just say make sense to you? Well, that yes comes from, okay, here's the second yes. Good. Jimmy, do you feel I'm being unfair to you in telling you that AI has no place in the writing of your sentences? Is that unfair? Well, I'll let Jimmy think while he's doing that. I'm going to look at his comment and then we're going to conclude, okay? 3 reflections, 30%, 30%, 40%, lots of thinking, lots of good writing. I'm going to help you to write better too in this class. AI and machines, just like Google, great for gathering information. They have no place in the writing of sentences. That's for the human to do, the human who created the algorithms that make those machines do what they do. Those machines serve us. We don't serve them. Okay, so let's see now. I learned history in grade 9 about over 30 years ago. I think now is the time to retake and understand what has changed over all these years, for sure. You're going to see a lot of change in this story, Jimmy, but most importantly, you're going to see that there's a new way of looking at history, and that is a bigger view, and that's the human story, the story that we all share together that unites us on this planet. Okay, fair enough. Jimmy is saying AI might help people with English problems learn English. Fair enough. But this is a really good point. Jimmy, is there not a point when you know when you're writing that it's the machine that's doing the work for you and not you, that you're actually not doing any real thinking? Isn't there always a point when you're doing your own writing where you know, because thinking is because, but Jimmy, I'm telling you, it's going to be free. There are tutors here right near this classroom who are ready to work with you for free. Exactly. It sells. You got it. Now, Jimmy, do you feel that you might need some help with your writing based on what I've just said? If you do, I can get you that help immediately. But at any rate, you're asking good questions, and we'll see how it goes. But please, please do not cheat. You're only cheating yourself. And if you want a good lesson about cheating, go watch 12 Fail. Okay. All right. So I think we can conclude today's abbreviated class. Jimmy, thank you for your live chat comments, and for the other student, Raj, who seemed to have been disconnected. The outline that you would like, I can deal with that in the review next week, but I'm going to be posting for all of you some material to be watching to prepare for next week's class. Okay? So thank you all. And do we need to say anything else about the GC Hub or anything coming up? No? We're good? Okay. Thank you, Zane. And see you next week. Take care. All right. Now, normally what I do is I